Happy New Year! In the last episode, we learned that human beings are natural imitators. We learn and understand the world by representing it. Today, we are going to ask a second question. Not what stories tell, but how they tell them. Aristotle says there is a third difference in artistic imitation. Remember, we already talked about two artistic imitation, which include the medium and the objects of imitation. Now we consider the manners of imitation. What does this mean? Let's pause and imagine something familiar. When someone tells you a story about their day at work, you listen. You may picture it in your mind. You hear the voice telling you what happened. That is what we call narration. Now imagine watching that same story acted out before you. You see the people, you hear them speak, you see their movement and expressions. That is what we call action. What Aristotle calls drama. Both are stories, but they feel different. When you hear something, you reflect. When you see something, you participate. Aristotle gives the example of Homer, who narrates stories with many characters and events. He uses narration to bring the story to life in your imagination. But a dramatist like Sophocles or Aristophanes puts characters on stage. Their actions unfolds before us. We watch decisions being made. We watch consequences play out. That is the heart of drama. Now let's bring this home with a controversy you may have seen in Nigeria this last December. At the center of public debate is a classic Yoruba historical film called Ogbori Elemoso, a story about the founder of Ogbomoso. The original film from the 1980s made Lerepaimo a household name and shaped how many people imagine that history. Recently, a new production was announced by a studio and supported by the traditional authority of Ogbomoso. They say they are not remaking Paimo's film but creating a new historical interpretation of the same story. Paimo, however, publicly objected. He said the film was his creative work, a version that influenced many people and defined his legacy, and that any reproduction without his consent undermines his authorship and dignity. This dispute is not just about legal rights, it is about manner of imitation. Should a story be narrated exactly as one person once did it, or can it be reimagined as drama with new structure, new characters, new voice? One side says that the specific creative expression of Paimo's work deserves respect. That particular telling should not be overwritten by another without consent. The other side argues that the history itself belongs to the community and that new dramas can draw on that history in ways that are original and not simply copied. Aristotle helps us see clearly here. He says that imitation is not simply copying. It is choosing how to represent actions and humans. Two storytellers can tell the same historical event, but the manner they choose, narration versus drama, language choices, structure, point of view, determines whether their works feel the same or entirely different. This is why storytelling is alive, because history, narrative, and performance can be rearranged in countless ways. And this leads to a deeper insight. Art belongs to both individual expression and communal experience. A dramatist may shape a narrative one way, another dramatist may shape it differently. Each act of imitation reveals a different truth, not because the facts are different, but because the manner of telling is different. This is what Aristotle calls the artistry of representation. So when we talk about story right, remakes and interpretation, we are talking about how imitation works. Are we imitating the same action in the same manner, or are we choosing a new manner to reveal new insight? That question takes us deeper into Aristotle's next concern. In the next episode, we will explore where poetry and drama come from, why humans began to sing, dance, and perform in the first place. That is where instinct meets art. I remain your host, Osho Abiodun.